welcome back into the QB Huddle Podcast. Now, the QB Huddle Podcast can be found anywhere where you get your podcasts, so that's pretty exciting. Be sure to subscribe and lock in for all of our content. I'm Tim Smith. I'm joined by my podcast partner, Brandon Noohi.
What's going on, baby?
All righty. A little different look this week. And we also have a very special guest, Colin Crash, QB1, the magician himself, Lauren Morales. How the heck are you guys?
What's up, man?
Lauren,
We're great. How about you?
I'm
you?
fine. I am doing great. Lauren, I appreciate you stepping in a couple weeks ago when I was temporarily handicapped and I couldn't get off the couch. So thank you so much for that. The show was fire, by the way. You guys did a heck of a job.
We had a blast.
That was fun.
Yeah, we got a fully packed show. Brandon's got a new puppy over there he's trying to control. So he's got that mustache he's trying to control too. So we got a lot going on here tonight. We're gonna
looking like Super Mario.
Super Mario, there you go.
Your man Victor. I don't know about that one.
Fellas, we got the college football semifinals.
Ooh.
Brandon and I are going to be in the house, hopefully Friday night, if we don't get some sort of super snowstorm. Texas versus Ohio State.
Hard to predict.
And then on Thursday, Penn State takes on Notre Dame. Fellas, what are we thinking about these games? Lauren, we'll go to you as the guest. Texas versus Ohio State. Who you got in this one?
Man, I'll be short and sweet. I got Texas with the quote-unquote upset. But this is a home game for them, and in my opinion, draft stock needs to be earned. If Ewers is going, he's got to play solid, to win the game, period. But we need a sprinkle of Manning, and man, I got to mention, I love just saying that name again, right? You get to say Manning in football again.
Right.
But I think Texas pulls that out, 27-24.
Oh, I hope you're right. That would be, Michigan number 1. Texas number 2. I hate Ohio State. So you know where I'm going. Brandon, you're an Oklahoma guy. Where are you going with this one? Who's going to win this matchup?
It's really hard for me to root for Texas, honestly, but I like what Texas is doing. I like Sark, former USC head coach and offensive coordinator. Took us to a natty. But I don't think this is going to happen, gentlemen. I don't see Texas winning this game. Right now, these guys are blowing the doors off of teams, really good teams, tough teams. You just saw the performance, what they put on with Oregon. I don't think it's going to be close. I think it's 42-17.
Oh,
am I crazy to say that? Oh.
Texas
fans will be mad at me.
I'm leaving early. Not bad.
What are they giving them? 6 points? What are they giving them? They think they're giving them 6, right? Ohio State 6 is the play, and you're going way over that. I think they can score. I think Texas shows up, man. I think Texas shows up.
They better show up. They better show up. I hope they do. I do.
It's going to be, to me,
I'm not a fan of Ohio State.
Do we see?
Yeah, this is emergence.
Do we see the fourth quarter overtime Quinn Ewers from last week, or do we get the first 3 quarters of Quinn Ewers in this game? And then can Texas run the football? They couldn't run the football a week ago. So can they run the ball to open up the play action and open up some of that screen game and get those safeties and linebackers to come down into the box? They weren't able to run a week ago, so I think they'll be able to run against Ohio State. I got Texas in the upset. I think Ohio's the most talented team, but I think they shot their wad last week, and I think Texas gets it done in a home game in the Cotton Bowl at AT&T Stadium. At least I hope so. Penn State versus Notre Dame. Yes, sir.
Hold on. Can I change my score? I didn't mean to disrespect Texas like that.
Okay. Oh, you want to change the score?
Gladly.
34-28.
Oh, so it's a little
Ohio
bit close.
State.
So we won't be leaving at halftime.
It's gonna be we're not gonna leave it at halftime, even though we're parked 10 minutes away from the field. I don't think it's gonna be like that. I think it could be a battle, man. It's all about which Quinn shows up, right? You touched in on that. I mean, Quinn Ewers can show up in some big games like he did against Alabama. So lay a goose egg, just like a Vanderbilt.
Right.
Which 100%. Quinn are we getting? The one thing that I feel Quinn has that you just can't teach is a clutch ability, a clutch factor. And he showed in 4th and 10, what was it, 4th and 12, threw a vertical route right over that coverage, like between a two high split.
Right.
That was a huge play. That was a big play.
Man, I don't know.
You have to throw that ball on time.
It almost
A
looks like
perfect
he
two ball.
actually
Get it over the
read
backer.
field.
Yeah,
But the rest of the
it
game,
looked
we were
good,
pulling our
man.
hair out watching the game. So it's like,
Yeah, for sure.
I'm with
Which
you.
point are
Lauren.
you going to get?
I want to see Arch Manning. I want to see if nothing else, let his athleticism come into the game a little
You
bit.
touched on the run. I think he needs to be in there for some running sets. We all know he's mobile,
Right.
but you can ride a long action with Manning, hit a little screen. There's other elements to get the run game going.
Yeah.
But I think Manning needs to get out there to throw a curveball at
Right.
at the defense. So
And Quinn
gonna be fun
Ewers
to
now,
see.
he does have something to prove. Let's not forget he did enroll in Ohio State. He did play for the the Buckeyes. So let's not forget that.
I think
Quinn
he was
Ewers
playing
was
for
in
a
the house.
coach. I think
What's
he was
that?
playing for a certain coach.
Either
I
way,
don't
he
know
put
if-
on that hideous uniform and played quarterback for them. This is probably a personal game for him to some extent, and it's a show me game. Whether he's going to transfer or try to get his draft stock back high. These are the next two games he's got to do it, like you said, Lauren. So
This is quite a story if you think about it.
in Ohio State, says Noohi.
This is quite a story if Quinn can pull it off.
Yeah,
He goes against his arch rival in high school. He lost to State, but he won that one. Then you went to battle with a quarterback. Wasn't he like number two between number 2 and number 1? He went to Michigan State, the guy at Arizona State.
yeah.
So they were both battling in high school. Who's number 1? Who's number 2? And then you have an opportunity to take down the team that took a chance on you. And you forgone your senior year to get that $1 million deal, even though it didn't work out. That left a sour taste in your mouth. What better way to finish your story than to do that? So I can't root against them, but I just feel like Ohio State's just been on a tear, man. It's like they're pissed off since the Wolverines
Okay. Well, folks, like I
walked
said,
into their home field and knocked them out.
Brandon and I will be at the game. If Ohio State wins, Brandon will have to Uber home. But I will give him a ride to the game.
I want Texas to win, man. I'm just thinking, like, man, they've been on a tear, man. They've been on a tear.
They have been. Ever since Michigan
hot.
beat them. Yep.
Yeah.
But again, Ohio State, no matter what happens, you still can't beat Michigan. So it really doesn't matter. Penn State versus
There was a
Notre
time
Dame.
they could.
This one is a little bit easier for me when I think about it. But Lauren, we'll go to you first. First of all, do you like either one of these teams, and who do you think is going to win?
So I tuned in. I'll go with the team I like is the team I think is going to win, and I think it's Notre Dame, and that's backwards for me. Normally, I would go against the Fighting Irish simply for the strength of schedule. They don't really get out there. There's not big games. With the new format, I've been able to see them a couple times. I've watched them play a couple games later in the season. And I will say, if the Love, the running back, if he's active, I know he got banged up and hurt last game, but if he plays and he's that good, I think he can battle in there with Penn State. But they're battle tested as of late. And as long as he's active, I got him winning. Their defense is great, in my opinion. So 17-14, Notre Dame.
Oh, close one. Okay. Brandon, where are you at with this?
Man, both teams have good defenses. That's the first thing that comes to mind. Both teams have played in very tight games. Yeah, it's going to be a dogfight, man. I think it's going to come down to, who can run the ball better, who can sustain drives, not turn the ball over, because both defenses, as you've seen in the playoffs, they turn the ball over, right? They get turnovers. Right. So it's going to be a tight one, man. But, I want to see the Irish do it, man. I've never seen a really complete Irish team. Like the Manti Te'o, we knew that team was about to run into a buzzsaw down there. This team is built different. Even though they lost to NIU, I get it. But that's probably the best thing that could have happened to them.
All right. Well,
so, I don't know the score.
You won't.
17-21.
Okay, we got
Notre Dame.
Low score no matter what.
Yeah, that's a good one.
My whole life, I've never been one to cheer for or pick Notre Dame to win anything. The best thing about Notre Dame was the movie Rudy. Where I grew up, it was you like Michigan or you like Notre Dame. That was the only two teams on TV every single Saturday. I chose Michigan, been a Michigan fan my whole life, love the Big Ten. I think Penn State, Notre Dame impressed me last week. I'm a guy like you, Lauren. I'm not impressed with Notre Dame most of the time. Gritty quarterback play. Love is a heck of a running back. The defense really showed up. I do think that Georgia, especially without the quarterback with Carson Beck out, I think Georgia kind of overlooked Notre Dame to some extent. I think a lot of Notre Dame winning was Georgia's ineptitude in that particular game. They've been kind of hot and cold all year. So when I look at that, I'm like, a little inconsistent. Penn State's defense is real. That is an NFL quality defense from end to end. They shut down Genty. He needed 30 carries to get his 100 yards, and 30 of it came on one play. He did have that one breakaway play. I just think this Penn State defense is going to be too much, and I'm looking at 24-21, a late field goal from Penn State to win the game. I think it'll be a classic. I think it'll be one of those, those low-scoring games that you can't turn away from because it's going to be so intense. It's going to be two storied programs going at it right there.
Okay.
That's what I got. That's what I got. I couldn't go for Notre Dame. I could never do
Riley
that.
Leonard has to play perfect, I think, to beat them.
Yeah.
I think it's come down to that. Even throughout the playoffs, I've said that. I was like, he has to play perfect because he has a lot of bad tendencies of turning the ball over, doing a little too much, trying to play Superman. Like, he's a physically gifted quarterback. He's just got to own it, Like, if you watched him, he's a good player.
He Josh Allen did the other night with his little flip over everybody.
If you see him at Duke, man, he was a good player.
On the moments, for me, I think it's calling for those Superman moments lately. If you let the game come to it, with the team he's on, it calls for him to run the ball. It's coming, and he embraces this. And I think early, like you said, he has Noohi, you said it, man. He's had errors. He forces it sometimes. Well, there's no forcing anything. It's that time of the year where go
let
get
it
it.
loose.
So I agree with you. I think he has to play really well. I think he can have a couple mistakes as long as they're calculated risk because he does have a defense behind him, but he can't get sloppy. He cannot get sloppy.
No.
Yeah, and I think what they did pretty well is kept him under that 25, 24 range. He only threw for 90 yards last week, but he also rushed for 14 carries for 80 yards.
Right.
So
the grit.
His ability to complement both in the air and the ground, I think, is going to be paramount to their success. And the defense has got to get a couple of turnovers because if you let that quarterback, the other quarterback from Penn State, if you give him time, he's going to pick you apart.
True.
I don't think either.
I've seen it when he played USC. I was like, damn.
I don't think either one of these quarterbacks are going to have much time. I think we can all agree on that. I think the defenses on both sides are coming.
Yeah, it's going to be something crazy. There's going to be some crazy plays in this game, more than likely. Do we all agree that the winner of the Texas-Ohio State game is going to win the Natty? Do we all agree on that? Or I know Brandon,
I don't know, man.
That conversation. Do you disagree?
I don't know, man. Defense wins championships. Offense sells tickets.
Both Texas and Ohio State have defenses too now.
Not like that.
Really as good as
not getting the turnovers like that. No. They get turnovers, Tim.
Earlier,
like they're all getting turnovers.
And we thought Texas-Ohio State was going to be essentially the national championship game. Do you disagree now, Brandon? Have you?
I don't disagree, but the more you think about it, like you have got to factor in that they're not bad teams. It's not like it's just going to be just a roll. Somebody's just going to roll through the net.
Right.
Both of these teams have showed, the ability to turn the ball over quite a bit, play down to their competition. Like, let's be honest. Texas should have blown out Arizona State. Blown them out. Like, it shouldn't have been even a question, even a thought, right? Screw that. But they kept it close, so they play to their competition sometimes. Just like Vanderbilt. Ohio State did the same thing with Michigan State. Just because they're a high-powered offense, they played down to it, and they got rolled.
You mean Michigan?
Michigan, my bad. God, yeah, Michigan.
Such disrespect.
I'm so sorry. I mean, in the Urban Meyer era, did you ever win? No, you didn't.
We're not in the Urban Meyer era. We're not in that era.
No, you didn't.
We're in the Ryan Day era, bro.
We're just getting used to you winning again. Like, let's
4 years in a row, man. Let's go. for.
All right, I got you, man. I got you.
Let's live in the present. All right, let's get into the NFL talk. We had a couple games last week, and typically we'd go through all of them, but it was week 18. A lot of games didn't matter, but we had some games that were interesting. And the first one for me that comes to mind is that Vikings-Lions game. And it's not so much that the Lions won and their defense looked outstanding considering everybody is hurt, but to me it was the Vikings and how shook Sam Darnold looked. I thought Sam Darnold from the start looked like he pressed. He was inaccurate. He had kind of feet moving in the pocket like crazy, right? He had those wicked steady feet, man, and it made me think he's not ready for this moment. And it made me question whether the Vikings are ready for the playoffs, to be honest, because I expected that game to be a lot closer than it was. And, they were just disconnecting on everything. So how big of a game was that for you two as we go into the playoffs, Lauren? We'll start with you.
Sunday night football, like Vikings, Lions, divisional. The matchup was there. The records were there. You got the quarterback duel going on here between Goff and Darnold. You got the top wide receivers in the game, at least two of them. And I agree with you. I wasn't pleased with the Vikings play. Kudos to Detroit. Good job. Dan Campbell got them fired up. Like he had them ready to play football. But more importantly, or more, and right in front of me is how Darnold let me down. And I dove more into it because I like Darnold, but I think he had a week where the defense won. They got the best of you. Your timing was off. That's why he looked shook. His timing was, there's open receivers, but not when you were looking, not when you were there. And I respect his progressions, but man, it's there. I don't know what you're looking at. I don't know what you're looking at. There was a play where Addison was open on the slant. He was open on the curl when he stopped because you didn't see the slant. Then he was open again on the out route, which could have been like a little whip route or setup, but he just missed everything and sailed it to Jefferson behind, which should he have caught it because it's Justin Jefferson, sure, but it's a bad ball even that he let go. Everything was high. Darnold let me down. Darnold let me down.
Same for me. Brandon, where were you at? You're not really paying attention to us over there.
I'm paying attention. I'm just listening to what you're saying, actually. I think for me, it's a tale of two stories. And the Lions have beat the Vikings both times, scored 31 points. But it's a tale of two stories with Sam Darnold. The first game, there was a tight-knit game, 29-31. My man was 81% completion, right? Things were going well. He was seeing it. Maybe protected a little bit better, right? Maybe not as antsy. This one, he's 43%, right? Can't have that. Yes, you missed some throws. It was 4 times you were in the red zone. You didn't convert, although you hit field goals. But, man, you got to hit those throws when it matters. You're going to get hit in the face. You might as well make the throw. I thought he started to get a little antsy. That pass rush was rolling in. I thought the Vikings did a great job for the first half of isolating Detroit. But you give Gibbs the ball, give him enough touches, he's going to be able to make some things shake, right? So
3 TDs.
4 TDs.
Was it 4?
4.
It was
3. He had a 4-piece. Yeah, he had a 4-piece on the ground. He had 39. He had 39 on the in the receiving with 1 touchdown, and then he put up over 100.
I knew he had 3 on the ground. So.
Yeah, he's a upcoming star, man. He's special. We've seen it at Alabama. He's sharing time both years with Montgomery. You hate to see Montgomery hurt because, most of the carries are going to go to Gibbs, but Montgomery's.
I think vice versa. We would have seen the same thing if Gibbs went down this late in the season. They've managed them well.
They're 2 good backs, man. Yeah.
They've managed them well, and they said it. What are their shoes? Sonic and Knuckles, I think they wear.
Yeah, something this guy doesn't do. Something our coach doesn't do. Doesn't rotate when you got a stable. Help me understand that.
I think he'll be back for the playoffs, and so that's great, Montgomery. I'll tell you,
that will help tremendously.
Chicago really misses Montgomery. I hate that they let him go, and they let him go to a division foe with that. The next game that really caught my attention was the Bengals Steelers. Now, one thing I have to point out, Joe Burrow. Man, that guy, when you need it most, he's going to deliver 100% of the time. He always does. But the Steelers are not delivering that, and Russell Wilson in particular looks like early season Russell Wilson again, like when he first came back, right? And it was kind of, preseason, it didn't look great. And he kind of looking like Denver, Russell Wilson the last 4 weeks. And they're on a skid going into the playoffs, not the way Mike Tomlin looked like he was about to cry the other night. So what I got from that is Joe Burrow is still the dude. And, hey, restructure your contract, get some help, and maybe you'll be a problem next year. But Steelers, you got problems going into the playoffs. What did you guys grab from that game?
For me, I'll go. 4 straight losses. It doesn't look good going into the playoffs. Yes, you make the playoffs, but that leaves can we do it? You get that, you lose that feeling of winning, and you forget what it feels like, and then you're chasing it, right? Yes, they lost by 2 points, right? Obviously, the Bengals needed it more than them at that time. But Russell, he's got to play better, right? They got to play better, especially versus a weak defense. All they have is that good DN. Joe Burrow turned the ball over. Throwing 46 times is just crazy to me. I feel like his contract has really crippled them to get some players to help facilitate that offense even better, but also defensively. You want to sustain drives, keep your defense fresh, get turnovers. When they went to the Super Bowl, they had a pretty darn good defense. And so they got to get back to doing that. Obviously, you got Jamar Chase, the Triple Crown. He's going to want his money. T. Higgins has said that he was willing to take a pay cut because he wants to stay and be a part of a winning team.
Who wouldn't want to play for Joe Burrow?
But, man, it sucks, man, to see Joe Burrow not in the playoffs. It does, because I think they were catching fire, and I don't think any team wanted to see him.
Hey, did the Chiefs lose on purpose? I think
they 100% tanked. Yeah, they tanked. They didn't want to see that. No.
I'm not going to say they lost on purpose. I will say they put themselves in position not to win the game.
There you go. They're like, hey, we're going to go ahead and relax this week.
Man, you all take a day off. Take the day off, man. Let's give the practice players a chance.
I gotta chime in on this one. I hated watching this game because the Steelers had grown on me. I enjoyed watching them play this year. I low key had a Russell little fan going, good. You deserve a couple more years, bro. You still got it. Just do it here. You got Tomlin. You got a great defense, which don't know what happened to them after Russell started. Once Russell started, the defense seemed to tail off. He's good now. We got a quarterback that can manage the game better than Justin Fields or whatever. We don't have to carry the full load. No, you need to. You hit early. But, man, I hated watching it because Burrow and Chase have been able to do this season. Even Hendrickson, the end on defense. These are top players in their positions, and they should be in the playoffs. The Bengals should be in the playoffs. And if I could go back to week 1 as a Patriots fan, for our pick's sake, why couldn't you just beat us week 1? Why couldn't the Bengals just win week 1? You gave Gerard Mayo and all of us some false hope. Everything out the window.
Jesus.
And then, dude, and now we're okay, cool. I will say this is a timing thing since we talked about the Patriots. That game is why I didn't want to watch it, because if we'd have lost, it wouldn't matter what happened this week. I love beating the Bills. They're divisional. I don't care if they benched anybody. We got to see the rookie play. But, yeah, lose that game. Bengals should be in the playoffs. I don't know. I want to sub someone out. I don't care which side they are. It was hard to watch that game.
If anyone out, it's the Broncos.
I can't do it, though. I like Bo Nix.
I like Bo, but I'm saying, man, I would have loved to see Joe Burrow in there, man.
Maybe there happens some kind of what does the NBA have? In-game tournament before the Wild? Maybe.
Right.
Well, I just think they always start off slow. They always start off slow, and that's their problem. If you start off at least 500 instead of going 1-3, and then now you're climbing, then you win a game, and then you lose 2 more. It's just you're always trying to climb. Hey, you got to get off to a quick start. You're a hot team at the end, which is great, but you got to learn how to start. So that's what's killing them every year. At least get 2 wins. Get 500 the first quarter, and then the second quarter, it's hey, I think we can coach this, get 3 wins out of this. Okay, we've had a downfall. Okay, December comes around. You know what that means? Joe Burrow time.
Yeah.
Take off.
Absolutely.
Right? He's good. It's the same shit every year.
Brandon and I
Yep.
talked about earlier in regards to the Steelers and Russell Wilson, with what we've seen from him in the last few weeks and his ineptitude the last couple weeks. Does he have to win the playoff game, or at least play well enough to put the Steelers in contention to win the game for him to get a contract next year in Pittsburgh? I said yes. Brandon said not necessarily. What do you think?
I don't think necessarily, because Justin Fields I don't think he's getting a contract in Pittsburgh regardless. So you're
Oh,
kind of left with, Russell. So you
okay.
take Russell for a cheap 2-year deal, something like Aaron Rodgers, maybe 30 mil. He's not going to he might take a deal, homer deal. I feel like he didn't have the tools with Pickens out. Something happened with Tomlin. I don't care. It'll come out later. Something had to have happened with him the last few weeks. He didn't seem locked in. He doesn't seem there. The team doesn't seem fired up. Maybe there's something we don't know. But I think he needs to. I think we go back to that old saying: we don't ask Russell to win this game. We just ask him not to lose it. That's
Right.
kind of where I'm at. You just
Right.
ask him not to lose it. Do what you've been doing all year. Put us in make it a game, and let's see how the cards fall.
There you go. Okay. The last game that really stole my attention this week, and I watched it really for one reason, outside of really enjoying Baker Mayfield. I wanted to see Mike Evans reach that 1,000 yards, and he did. For the 11th season, we talk about the great receivers that are in this game, and rarely do we mention Mike Evans, and yet and still 11 years in a row with 1,000 yards, tying the greatest of all time is what people say, Jerry Rice. And let's put this in perspective. He's had 2 real quarterbacks in his career, not Joe Montana, and he's not had Bill Walsh on the sideline. So kudos to Mike Evans for what he did with less around him than Jerry Rice, in my opinion. Lauren, how did you feel about that?
Dude, I was really only watching that game for the same reason.
Yeah.
I was watching it for those incentives that these players get around this time of the year: snaps played, yards gained, catches, TDs, etc. That little piece right there of explaining was for Jerry Jones, by the way. You know what I mean? You need to know these things. So sorry, Cooper Rush. I think you earned your $500K this year.
Cooper, yeah.
But I digress. Tampa Bay and Baker Mayfield didn't let Mike Evans down. Hall
Love
of
it.
Famer.
Love to see
Hall
it.
of Famer. Hall of Famer.
Easily.
Force feed the guy.
First ballot.
No question. He
Easy.
stamped it. He stamped it.
Most consistent receiver since Jerry Rice.
The great thing was that
it's like him and T.O., right? Like those guys are consistent as can be. Megatron, was Megatron like that too?
Megatron.
Andre Johnson was like that too. Johnson was like that. Larry Fitzgerald was like that. And they're all first ballot Hall of Famers. They're the most consistent players. No question.
No question. And by the way,
great player, man.
I loved watching Johnny Manziel, but after Sunday, I looked over to Gretchen and I said, well, now we know it was always Mike Evans. It was never Johnny Manziel. If it wasn't for Mike Evans, there might not have been a Johnny Manziel.
Mike Evans loves the Texas QBs. You know what I mean? They're not afraid to throw him the ball, let it rip, give your guy a chance. Give your guy a chance.
Just perform at a high level, man. I love talking to that a little bit more, but
we are.
I love what they're doing. What a better story! What a great story!
That connection that Baker and Mike Evans has is special, and the fact that Baker waited to sign his contract so they would sign Mike Evans and pay him whatever it was that he wanted.
Ultimately, Mike Evans took the cut too, so that way they could sign Baker. So right then and there, you knew something was cooking,
Special.
And
it's a special relationship.
It ain't over.
I think they're both lifers. I think they're both Tampa lifers. I think Baker has found his home for years to come.
No question about that. I agree.
I think he could turn around and have a Hall of Fame career just for the numbers he puts up in a consistent span. Like, how long has he been in the league? And I know we're talking way off the rip, but just the season he's put together with Tampa is like, okay, you did this without Chris Godwin.
Right.
And you did this consistently without your running backs.
Right.
And you didn't have Mike Evans for 8 weeks.
You just found yourself a rookie. You got some running backs. Like, oh yeah.
This will be his second division title with Tampa, and he's already won a playoff game with Tampa, and was a minute away from beating Jared Goff and the Lions last year in Detroit.
And he took Cleveland and beat the Steelers
in
Heinz Field.
He was a what I call very bad call away from beating the Chiefs in Kansas City. So we got to put respect on Baker Mayfield's name.
So
This guy just does it.
roll with it, Tim. You got to keep this going because y'all are still in my roll with it. Go ahead, keep it going. My on fire. Let's get into it.
Okay, well let's go on fire. Where do you want to go first? You want to go first?
We're on it, man. Baker Mayfield. He's so exciting to watch when he has weapons around him, like Mike Evans. Like he's. I enjoy watching him play football right now, and it's not just because all the things. Sure, the stars align. He's from Texas. He's played around here. He's been through the high school. We know this guy. We've seen him. We know his dances when he got down and we went viral. We know this guy's story, and it's finally coming to like fruition, and it's great. But yeah, man, he's my on fire because that's who you want on your team right now for a playoff game, for his energy alone. His energy alone is the type of on fire energy that you want leading your team at this time of the year into the playoffs. Like, he's done it all year. He finished with, I think, 4,500 yards. He's got to be top 5 in that regard. He's balling. And I got to give him his props because there's been times that I'm like, man, Baker's he's a little reckless. He's a little, play ball, bro. Play ball. You won't hear nothing from me. Like, play ball.
Lauren, I love that. And, it's almost when everything that you say makes me think about when we talk about MVP and what does MVP mean? Most valuable player. How is it that we haven't talked about Baker Mayfield in that conversation? Because he keeps Tampa relevant, even without number 1 and number 2 receiver for a good long time. He kept that team going. And I look at the other day, that run he had on third and 13 down in his own end zone, and he just took up the middle. The block he had a couple weeks ago. Baker Mayfield is a throwback Brett Favre style football player. He's not just a quarterback. And he can rally that locker room like none other. They love him in Tampa. And what I see after games, the other teams love him too, right? Everyone's dapping him up after games.
Baker's a football player, man.
Baker Mayfield is that dude.
He's a linebacker playing quarterback.
Exactly. How can you go wrong with Baker Mayfield at quarterback? I love that pick. I've got a few guys in here, and I'll just go down the list. I've got Justin the Beast Herbert, 28 of 36, 346, 2 TDs, no turnovers. Talk about a career turning around with a new coach. Jim Harbaugh has been excellent for him. Kyler Murray looks like he finally finished the Call of Duty campaign. He was 25 for 35, 242, 4 touchdowns. 4.
Took us.
Woo!
Took us.
How about this? And this hurts me to say. Bryce Young, 25 of 34, 251.
Shouldn't hurt you.
And 2 rushing. I got to give him his props. Good job.
Congratulations, young bull. Congratulations. You figured it out.
He's going to get an award later in the show that's not so favorable, but this day was really, really good for him. Geno Smith, folks. Geno Smith,
yes, sir.
Off. 20 for 20.
That's a good send-off.
223, 4 tubs for Geno Smith. Good job, Geno. And I got to save this guy for last. I wore his jersey. I think he's retired because he told Pam Oliver he loves her and gave her a big hug and a smooch on the after game. But Aaron Rodgers was 23 for 36, 4 touchdowns. He did have the 1 interception. They also tried to throw him a touchdown pass. Aaron Rodgers looked like he was living his best life on Sunday. And I really
good to see that, though.
I kind of hope to see that
right?
game because
500?
What's that?
He hit 500.
He got 500 too.
Yes, he got to 502. I think was the final number, something like that.
That's that's a good send off if you're gonna do it. That despite your season and your record, it's always good.
If he retires, he deserves it. He's a Hall of Fame guy, no question. I hated him in Green Bay. I enjoyed watching and cheering for him this year, even though the Jets were poo-poo. But, hats off to Aaron Rodgers, Hall of Fame quarterback, no question to me. You guys want to add anybody to this list? That's a pretty stout list.
I mean, the way you entered with Baker, Lauren, it was like this was the final awards. Like this was your on fire guy for the entire season. And so, are we leading into those awards, or are we just going to keep it idle? I'm going to shout out Bryce Young, man, because we've literally. I'm not going to say dog him, but I'm going to say damn. Like, you've been in the garbage juice a lot, man. But to see you, but you're learning. Like, it's been a lot. But to see him smile, throw touchdowns, man, it's like he fell in love with the game again. Every quarterback goes through adversity. You can either run away from it or run through it. And so right now, I love what I see. I love what I saw from Geno. I love what I saw from Kyler. Those are great way to end, your seasons despite you not making the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a good way to end like, damn it, you finished it. You finished it. On to the next season. That gives you a little bit more confidence going in, man. Shit, last game I threw 4 TDs. Let's go, man. You know what I mean? Like that gives you more juice. So kudos to those guys, even though they didn't make the playoffs, they still showed up and showed out. So
contract protectors.
Respect.
There you go.
Contract protectors. There you
like
go.
that.
Yeah, they got to keep the job, man. You better not come out here bullshit, man.
Anytime we talk about the good, we got to talk about the bad. And there was some, we're going to be not too hard on folks because this was week 18. Some quarterbacks played that hadn't played a lot all year, but the garbage juice is still full this week. And for me, it starts with Mr. Sam Darnold, right? He looks scared. He looks shook. 18 of 41, 166 yards. That's pedestrian. So I've got Sam Darnold leading the way in the garbage juice. That might be his first time in that thing all year. And I'm also going to go with this because I picked this out, man. The entire quarterback room for the Tennessee Titans, Will Levis and Mason Rudolph, combined for 16 of 26, 245, 1 touchdown, and look terrible in those icy-ass uniforms. If you're going to wear those uniforms, I want you to play good. I want you to win, right? You
Just
can't come out in those Oiler uniforms and play like poo. You just can't do it.
Just run the ball. If you're going to wear those uniforms, just run the ball.
Woo. Who do y'all got, man? I got 2 more.
I'll
but
double down, man. I'm going to double down on Sammy Darnold, man. He got to show up in big games.
You can't do that, man.
No.
He's got to show up in big games, man.
You can't do that.
He's out there acting like he hasn't been there before, and I know he hasn't, but you just got to hope that he gets better. He shows signs of, like I said, a one-and-done Vikings team, man. The Rams are experienced, and that you can't go in. You can't take that same heat that you're talking about that they're carrying into 2025 and next year. You're not carrying any type of fire into the playoffs. All that Viking flame is now kind of controlled.
Kind of simmer down a little bit, yeah.
Now there are some positives about this gentleman. He didn't throw an interception. Right? He didn't turn the ball over. Okay, so it's just like, hey, let's sharpen this thing up. I think they can go into the Rams and upset them. I really do.
Well, it wouldn't be an upset.
Are they going to get the Lions again?
I don't see.
Are they
going to
get the Lions again?
I don't see it as an upset, and I think they're scared of the Lions at this point. The Lions kind of hurt there.
They can't beat them. Lions have scored 30-plus points each time.
Yeah, they don't want to play the Lions again. They want nothing to do with that. I put Tyler Huntley and Billy Zappi both in there because Billy Zappi's been in the league. He should have played better than what he did, throwing 2 interceptions, and then Tyler Huntley, another 2 interception game. Tyler Huntley's been around. He's won games for the Baltimore Ravens. Like, you can't come out and just look like absolute ass when you do get a chance to put something on the film.
Especially because Huntley looked decent last week. So
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, he's been around too long. Go ahead.
I just feel like, man, this was a great opportunity for Huntley during this stretch where, okay, the other quarterback wasn't looking good. You looked really good in the Baltimore offense.
Mm-hmm.
And then you come here, it's just with this high-powered offense, I was just really hoping to see him just elevate and just be a player to where it's like, oh, man, okay. You can slow down. Like, you can slow down now, right? And so
yeah,
I just think for me, it's just I really wish he would have just stepped it up, from that perspective. He had a lot of opportunities this season, and I just think they looked very mediocre. And when Tua stepped in, you saw how valuable Tua was. But I felt like Huntley's athleticism, along with his arm, could have just done that too. And I'm just like, damn, I really was pulling for that dude because now, shit, he ain't gonna be hopping from team to team probably.
Well, it was bad
for emergency purposes, which isn't bad for a paycheck, but it's like you're better than that.
He was bad.
Like, you can play.
Freak Hill to come out and say, "I'm out of Miami. I'm leaving." I'll see
you later. And he's a baller. Do you remember him at Baltimore when he stepped in for Lamar in that offense?
Yep,
Dude.
I remember because we talk about it all the time. He came.
I said, "Hey, man,
5 games out of 7 or something."
He won a playoff game too, didn't he?
Yeah, he sure did.
He was good. He was damn good. And I thought him going to Miami, I was like, oh, this is the moment for him.
Okay, but
and I was just very let down by that.
let's remember he wasn't nearly as talented as Lamar, but he did run Lamar's offense. He ran a lot of zone read, a lot of quarterback sweeps, and that was where a lot of his success. Because they were a running team, Baltimore always,
Sure.
and so
Sure.
he wasn't asked to do what Miami's asking him to do. Right? Miami's asking him to make process very quickly, get the ball out to your superstars now, and that maybe that's not necessarily his specialty. So sometimes quarterbacks need to be in the right system. You don't want Tua in a zone read offense, and you don't want Tyler Huntley in a spread them out and process quick, go from 1 to 3 and get rid of the ball because it's just not his.
But I feel like everybody should be able to do that, Tim. You're at the next level. This is
We've
coaching.
proven everybody can't.
Coaching matters, bro. Yes, they can. It's
Okay.
coaching. Don't you hate that?
Yeah.
Like, as far as just
I do.
the ability to process that.
Because
Like,
why
you would
one
figure.
quarterback do it, but the other quarterback.
I understand at the high school level. I understand slightly at the college level. I get it. But when you get to that level, it's just like, man, you should know that. You should know that playbook like an OC. You should know exactly their tendencies. I know exactly what he's going to call here. I don't know why he's calling here. Oh, the guy's inside here. Let's take
Maybe he
advantage of it.
does know the
These
playbook.
guys need to learn to bore you with completions. That is your job.
Maybe he just doesn't look at the defense the same way Tua does. Everybody's not created equal in that way, and so maybe his process is not quite as fast.
That's
He
definitely got a
doesn't see it as
point.
fast 'cause
I think they see it pre-snap. I think the motions and the McDaniel locked in his contract the same amount of years as Tua for a reason. You know what I mean? Hoping that they're pieced together because he kind of sees what he calls, and it's very niche. Tua throws to a spot. He doesn't really throw to these receivers.
Tua's a damn good quarterback, bro.
He you have to have a certain coordinator as
In
well.
that
to run
system,
the
yeah, he's got to be in that right
I just
system,
don't
right?
think this is a good mix for Tyler Huntley. That's all. I think he needs to.
But I did think
be in
Huntley could
Baltimore
easily
again.
step in. I thought he could step in and
Yeah,
learn
man, I just
at
really
least
thought
the
he was going to turn
basics.
up. Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought he was going to turn up when he stepped in. What did he have, like 6 games?
He had
Really thought he was
more
going to
than
turn the
enough.
corner.
So,
God.
Miami was a mess this year. So let's get into the rookie watch and we talk about kind of rookie of the year predictions with this, because I don't think that I put that in. Well, I did kind of put in our offensive player of the year, but we'll talk about rookie of the year as we talk about this with the quarterbacks, right? We've been focusing on Jaden Daniels, Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, and Drake May. Michael Penix, Spencer Rattler have played a little bit, but not quite as much as the others. So not really fair to compare them to the others. And of course, Milton got to play this weekend in New England.
Yeah.
So you got to have some fun with that. But it's the Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams thing for me. And Bo Nix, by the way, has slid himself into that conversation, if you ask me. But man, Caleb ended up 62.5%, 3,541 yards, 20 touchdowns, to just 6 interceptions. He took care of the ball, and he set a record, at least a franchise record, for the most passes without an interception. It was something like 300 throws without a pick. So kudos to him. Guys, it's not that far between Jaden and Caleb. Jaden was 69% completion, 68 yards, 25 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. Now, he had some more rushing touchdowns, and they won more. I would say that game between Washington and Chicago, that Hail Mary, changed the trajectory. I think both these guys did fantastic, and they both have bright futures. I think Jaden's in a better position than Caleb. I think he's on a better team than Caleb with better coaches. Caleb's going to have a whole new staff next year. I think the Bears are promising. They just beat Green Bay and Chicago, so I love that. But Jaden Daniels, to me, is the rookie of the year, even though Bo Nix really pushed that with 66%, 3,700 yards, more than the other two, 29 touchdowns. But here's where Bo slipped up to me, 12 interceptions. Turned the ball over more than the other guys. He's a little reckless at times with the football. So that's why I've got Jaden Daniels, rookie of the year. His team is in the playoffs, and he doesn't turn the ball over as much as Bo Nix. Brandon, you're shaking your head a lot. You don't like the fact that I said Caleb and Jaden weren't that far apart, but the numbers say they're not. Where are you at, man? Tell me what you're thinking.
Man, I don't care about those numbers, man. Obviously, we all know stats are something that we go to and we reference first. But if you turn on the tape, man, it's a night and day difference between those two. night and day. Now Caleb is making strides. He's doing good, but he's had 68 sacks this year, man. That's unheard of. Like, he runs into sacks a lot of times. He drifts into the pocket quite a bit. He doesn't see the first read. He doesn't trust it. He ducks down. He looks down. He doesn't keep his eyes up. So I say you can't hit what you can't see, man. I've always been told that. And so to me, I feel like Jaden plays more in rhythm. It does help. He has an OC that really caters to his skill set. Let's
100%.
ignore that. I would say, to me, yes, it's Jaden Daniels, but the most impressive to be able to handle a system with that much terminology, with that much expectation, with a Super Bowl coach and Sean Payton and Bo Nix.
Yeah.
Hats off to the rookie, man.
100%.
I know you went through hell with him. I know you did. It was a little bit easier guy than this. I don't know if Sean that was really his guy, but he was going to test it and move the needle as much as he could. And Bo Nix never backed down, and he unwavered. And I was just like, damn, I like that moxie of that kid, man. That dude can play. Like, yeah. I'm a fan. I wasn't a fan in college, but I'm a fan. I like Bo Nix. I think he's going to do something in years to come. So
outside of Spencer Rattler, I think this was a fabulous quarterback class. I love Michael.
I think he was good. Yeah.
I like Drake May. Now, Drake May, he only played 13 games, but let's talk about his numbers. 66%, 2,200 yards. Really no talent around him either in New England.
That ain't bad.
15 touchdowns.
Hey, you got a good one. You got a good one, Lauren. You got a good one.
Lauren, talk to me about the interceptions, man. He turns the ball over, and he had how many concussions? That's going to happen. He already had 2 concussions this year. Does that worry you as a New England fan? He's a little reckless?
So the concussions, if you look at them, like, people jump to the concussions now because they think automatically everyone's running into stone walls. Most of they weren't reckless play, right? It wasn't reckless play. Not everyone's tucking their head going forward. One of them, he was sliding, and it was an incident where the dude came in late. And then another one, he tried to cover it up, but he was definitely, he took a hit. So, but the 10 interceptions, man, he takes chances. It's what I want to see more of Caleb. I didn't care about the interceptions. You're not going to get anything. Like, Drake May has one of the best deep balls that I've seen from a rookie quarterback. He drops it in the bucket, nose down, throws it on time. When you do that in the NFL, unfortunately, we had one of the lowest separation rates for receivers for like the 3rd year in a row. It's going to be a pick. There's times where it's like, come on, catch the ball. We don't utilize Hunter Henry enough. We need an offensive-driven coach. So we'll get one in there. But I'm like Noohi said, we're not hunting. We're not drafting a quarterback. We got 2 possibly, but Drake is leading the charge. So we're good where we're at. We found our guy. As far as the rookie watch, Jaden, Caleb, I've always been big on Caleb, but I can't just ignore it. I know you said ignore it, Noohi, but I can't. You got Kingsbury in there. He's going to show every quarterback right away the potential. The potential of the quarterback is going to come out year 1. You're going to see almost close to the ceiling, you know what I mean, of how high they can go. It's up to the player to go further than that. I give more credit to Bo Nix because you're under Sean Payton. Not every quarterback can play under Sean Payton.
The demand is so high. Like, the terminology, like, everything about it. You probably walk in and he's got like a smirk.
Dude,
just like,
he's ready.
So, like, give me some juicy. Like, you know how he was, but with Drew, that was his boy. That was his boy. So. But I think I see the relationship growing with them.
Let's start with you then, Brandon.
Sean loosening up a little bit.
Let me ask you.
It's impressive.
Let me ask you a quick question to wrap up this rookie watch with Brandon.
Sure.
Of those rookies, right? Michael Penix, we're going to leave Spencer Rattler out of there because honestly, I mean, unless you guys, we'll keep him in there. But Spencer, Michael, Drake, Bo, Caleb, Jaden, who's got the highest ceiling of that group? When we look at this 15 years from now, pick one that's going to be the best of the bunch.
We're talking about a guy who just showed up and showed out in his first NFL start, and we're not even talking about this dude. Yo, boy. Your backup. You said you got 2, but you never said his name. What's his name? Oh, wow. Bubbles came up. You see that?
Yeah, that's funny. Okay.
I'm on my iPad.
Oh, my goodness.
Hey, you said it earlier. Milton.
Yeah.
Did you see Milton?
Bazooka Joe, man.
Bazooka Joe. Lord, hey, don't sleep on him. Don't sleep on him.
Oh, he has
I will say, to answer your question,
okay,
it's Jaden, man. I think Jaden's got the ceiling. Yeah, man. I just think he's locked in. I don't think his confidence doesn't get shooken up. He's smiling. I know he's in the lab. I know he's working. You can tell that dude is relaxed because he's always prepared. But I think it's a good class. It's a solid class.
I'm gonna go
Very
Caleb.
solid.
I'm gonna go Caleb with the ceiling. He's toughened it out. He just locked himself in for at least another. I think he gets probably another
2 years.
deal before. I think he gets signed. I think it's an extension well before his contract's up. He's gonna stay. He found a home. I think Chicago is. They're getting behind him if they're not already. I'm not gonna say it's a tough fan base to win over, but if Jay Cutler can do it, I think Caleb can do it. And he
serious right now.
He found a home, man. I got Caleb.
Are
man.
y'all serious, man?
I got Caleb.
I like
Caleb.
I like
Okay.
where Lauren's at. Lauren,
He did his thing.
Lauren, you kind of understand the heartbeat of Chicago with what you're saying. I love it. This is what I'm going to say.
This is the fanboy talking, man. Like,
Noohi,
God,
Brandon, I like the Jaden thing. I don't know. And what scares me about Jaden is I'm getting RG3 vibes. You know, I think he's better than RG3 ever was. Don't get me wrong there.
It's the uniform, the
But
colors.
he's so little. And sometimes he still runs.
he gets hit like a pinball, man.
Yeah,
Lord have mercy.
I wonder how long will he last. That's my only concern with the Jaden Daniels. Bo Nix, I feel like from a maturity standpoint, man, he's extremely high ceiling. He's got an IQ. Obviously, you have to be the quarterback for Sean Payton. But I'm with Lauren. And maybe it's because we just beat the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau.
Man, y'all
Maybe
full
it's
of
because I'm a
fandom in
lifelong
this.
Cowboy
Oh
fan.
my God.
No,
bro.
so
And here's what I
you
saw.
like because he scrambles like
No,
you,
no,
Lauren.
no,
Is
no,
that
no,
why
no.
you like this?
Brandon,
Yes, the magician, ducking and dodging and shit.
No.
Like,
This is why. Listen to my reasoning. We talk about this all the time. Caleb does have a clutch gene. He does. And he showed it. The Bears defense oftentimes would give it up. Like he would get the lead with a minute left and the Bears would lose the game. And you're like, how did that happen? How'd they lose? Right? He showed me something in the fourth quarter of games this year that you can't teach. And a lot of guys don't have.
he has that.
And so because he has that, and because we're about to get a new regime, and hopefully we get a good regime that knows how to, mold an offense around what we have, get an offensive line in here, get some more pieces on this defense. I really think the Bears could ascend very, very quickly, and I think Caleb is going to be that guy at the end of the year.
So the reason, let me piggyback right off of that, because what you just said is Caleb has done what he did. He read the numbers. You're in the mix. We're talking about two quarterbacks whose offensive coordinators, we know them by name. We know who these guys are. Sean Payton, right? We know who these guys are. We're seeing the ceiling of these two quarterbacks. Now, if they break through it, that's great. But these OCs are going to show you real quick how good these QBs are. Caleb's done it with not a lot of direction. He's got a lot of great receivers and things going around him right now, but not a lot of time to throw the ball. I just think his ceiling, you said it best, 10 to 15 years from now, I think we're still talking about Caleb. I don't know if the careers of Jaden and Bo go further than their offensive coordinators. That's what I'll leave 100%. It at that. Leave it at that.
100%. Think about what what Caleb went through this year. His OC got fired. Then his head coach got fired. At the end of the day, the entire staff is an interim staff that won't be there.
I get it. I understand.
Monday, right? After the season's over. And they went into Green Bay, a team that was trying to up their playoff seeding. And it's Chicago Green Bay. You're talking about the oldest rivalry in the NFL. And they beat the Packers in Green Bay. There's already a statue being built for Caleb in the middle of the city.
Jordan Love. We act like this guy has completed 70% of his passes all year. This guy has only touched that twice all season.
Okay.
It's been horrid.
He's gone.
He runs into sacks all the time. Like, guys, that was my college quarterback. Like,
hey,
I'm
not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing with the facts you were laying down. You know me more than anybody. Like to get rid of it quick, but you also take that risk.
Get rid of the ball.
He does run into a lot of sacks.
God.
But these are fixable.
Yes, they are. They're fixable.
Jaden Daniels is not going to put on 30 pounds of muscle. He likes to run the ball. He better. He likes to run the ball. He's going to need. I need him at least
225.
And Bo Nix is going to learn how to, like you said, this is nice, Sean Payton. He hasn't experienced 6 years of Sean Payton. 7 years with Sean Payton.
That
Does he
wears
make it?
on you a little bit.
What is off season like? A
It
full
does.
off season when he's I get 3 months off, right? Nah, Sean Payton's got a room with you two right next to it for a week on the beach. Like you're gonna be and go, like it's different. So ceiling, just ceiling, not play, because I'm with you, Noohi, not play. Ceiling, what they can learn, what they're capable of. I gotta go with Caleb. Hangnails and all.
Do you put the organizations and factors, right? Because you have to look at each organization. Washington is not. I mean, it's been a crazy organization. Chicago's been a crazy organization, right? We don't know, but of the past, they've got to get rid of that. You go to Denver, that's a lot more stability in Denver, right? And organizations matter because we've seen really good players go to places. Baker Mayfield went to a shit organization in Cleveland. He finally found his way in Tampa, and it looks like he's found a home. Tampa's won before. Tampa used to be dog crap until the Brad Johnson, the whole John Lynch era. So organizations matter. If you're looking at those organizations, you may have to put your faith more into Bo Nix.
I think, because you loop it around back to what Tim said.
You loop it,
RG3, look at the organization. They might not know how to handle,
Exactly. They may not know how to handle success.
Denver can certainly handle success. There's no question about that.
Yes, because Denver's been successful. Like, they know what it's like to win. This is not – they've done this. Like, this is who they are.
Caleb's career in Chicago really depends on who they hire in their coaching.
Next.
Like, who the head coach is.
So who do you hire, Tim? Who do you hire? Ben Johnson? They're not going – he's not going to the division.
He's not going division, but that's who you would want. That's who you would want.
Who you would want,
I would
though.
love Ben Johnson, but here's the fear. Ben Johnson is a tremendous offensive coordinator. That doesn't mean he's going to be a great head coach. Every coordinator is not a great head coach. So we look at what is going on in Detroit, and we think, yes, he's innovative. He's new. No, I'm going to go a different way. And I know that Dallas said no already to Chicago, but I would like a quarterback whisperer like a Mike McCarthy to enter that room and come in there and put his arms around Caleb, like Sean Payton has the Bo Nix, like Kingsbury has the Jaden, and put his arms around him and say, let's make this go. Because you're talking about a guy that took Dak Prescott and made him an all-pro, right? You're talking about a guy that took
the best years with Mike.
You're talking about a guy that took Aaron Rodgers as a rookie and groomed him under Brett Favre. Brett Favre, if you ever watch any of the documentaries, wanted nothing to do with teaching Aaron Rodgers how to play in the NFL. And Mike McCarthy put his arms around him and said, let's go. And he's also part of the San Francisco tree. Mike McCarthy is underrated coach.
Steve Young, Jeff Garcia.
Exactly. He gets a bad rep in Dallas. I'd like him or a coach like him to go to Chicago and groom.
So two guys that I think for Chicago that could fit. One's interviewing only because I know the Patriots interviewed him, the Jets interviewed him. I didn't think he would interview. Byron Leftwich is looking for a head coaching job. He's an offensive
guru. Yeah, that'd be nice. Okay,
that'd be a good one. And also, I don't know if he's entering the realm. I've always thought he should, even when he was in Dallas. He's doing very well, obviously in Philly. But Kellen Moore is another one that, if you're looking for an offensive head coach, coach. See, you've been through it,
man. I think he'd be great.
Let me go another way, because it is Chicago, and Chicago has always had. I mean, Chicago's hard nosed. They're defensive minded. They've had success with Mike Ditka of the world, right? I'm okay if we get a hard-nosed defensive coach in there, like a guy like a Dan Campbell who's fiery and let's go. And then we get an offensive coordinator that's wicked smart, right? We get one of these college OCs to come in here and go, Caleb, I know what you like to do. Let's make it work. Because that's the recipe that's worked in Detroit. And Chicago is not much different from Detroit. They have a lot of history. They're tough. They're mean. They're gritty. Why can't we get a Ron Rivera? I would love Ron Rivera to be our head coach.
Let me ask you, what about this one? Pete Carroll.
I'm okay with that, except I hate for the old guy.
He's always good for defense,
bro. He's he's
a culture builder. Like, he builds a culture.
We do need
He's a culture builder. That's what he does.
Culture. Yes,
he builds a culture. Mike Vrabel.
Yeah,
I think Mike will be. Mike's got the identity. Yeah, Vrabel got the.
There's the only one.
Yeah, he's signing. No, he's not. It's two places. He's signing with Vegas.
No, he's not. No,
he's going with his brother, Tom Brady. He's going to Vegas,
Brady.
He's going with Brady.
I don't think Brady has that much.
How much you want to bet? How much you want
I
to
don't think
bet?
he
We
has
live on the
influence
show
either.
right
I
now.
think it's all money. I think it's money that's in Vegas. Tom Brady's money's in Vegas. I don't think he's fully invested like that.
Right. I
But
think he's going to New England.
if you piece it all together, he's going to New England, man.
He's
It
going to
would
New
be it
England.
would shock me if he didn't
I would
come to New
love, I
England.
would love to see him in New England because I know he's going to bring that.
And that's
Oh,
why
it's the
I
only
think
Mayo
it's
Mayo's
the
there.
got a
only
fair shot. He shouldn't
it's
have
the
called his
only
players soft.
coach.
That's
The
fucked
only
it up.
coach that makes firing Mayo okay.
There you
He's the
go.
only coach that makes
Yeah,
firing Mayo
yeah.
okay.
A Patriot and hire another Patriot.
Yeah,
we're
Like,
one that has more Super Bowls. That that
Yeah.
checks all the boxes that Mayo checks. Only difference is he's caught him for us. He's stopped him.
I'm not
He's-
gonna
he-
lie, man.
all
I'd have
of it.
loved to see Mike Vrabel at Ohio State.
Okay,
Ah.
well, we are really.
I
getting
did
off
want
the
that.
rails.
I did want that though. We got way
You-
off, but he's a buck.
so we
he's
were
a
talking
Buckeye.
about-
I didn't want to see him in the pros. I was like,
So
you
earlier we
go
talked
for
about
Joseph.
Jaden
College.
and how far his ceiling could take him in playoff game, and then also the Bucks.
Sure.
They play in the playoffs. So what do we got up? I know we got something else up, huh, Tim?
Well, yeah, now we're in the playoffs. We got the playoff rounds for this week. So what we'll do is go around the horn. I'm going to give you the game. We'll go Brandon, then Lauren, then myself. Tell me who's going to win and why. Keep it brief because we went way off the rails. We're going to do the coaching carousel. We're just not going to do that today. Chargers versus Texans. Brandon, who do you got?
Chargers, Texans. I got the Chargers.
Any reason?
I just think that any reason the run game is playoff football, man. They're going to run down. I mean, you got a very experienced head coach that's used to winning playoff games, but also D'Amico Ryans. But man, that Texas team just looks a little bit depleted. They're not as confident as they once were. Last year especially, CJ's having a down year. It doesn't look good for him. The road ends here. I think Chargers beat them 28-24.
Okay. Oh, you got a score. All right. Lauren,
Ooh, yeah.
I'll
Let's see
keep
if
it
that locks
quick.
in.
I'll keep it quick. I got the Chargers as well. Scores 31-21. The Texans left a bad taste in my mouth since Christmas. I don't think they get it done. Herbert's on a roll,
At
and
all.
once again, coaching matters.
Herbert needs a win. He's never won a playoff game. Herbie's got to get it done. This
Chargers,
is the moment.
The Chargers for me, I'm a ginormous Jim Harbaugh fan. By the way, he reached out to the Bears, and the Bears refused to talk to him last year. He wanted to be the coach of the Chicago Bears. So let's not ever
I
forget
can see
that.
it. I can see it.
Yeah, he did play for the Bears. The Chargers have something special to me going on in their locker room. I'm a huge believer in the coach. And I think at least for this week, we are going to see a fabulous Charger team, and they're going to go down and they're going to win. Nobody's going to have it better than them.
Go Chargers.
We said this when he got hired. The Chargers are going to be a problem
We all said that.
because everywhere he's gone, he's won and he's taking team in the playoffs everywhere.
The moment
all
he
he
cut
does.
off the music for practice or whatever, locker room, you knew it was a wrap. You knew it was changing.
Love it. I loved it. Steelers, Ravens. Brandon, I know where you're going with this, but
You know exactly where I'm going.
okay. Well,
Mr. MVP himself.
he's got the Ravens
Lamar
because
Jackson.
Lamar Jackson
Lamar
has
Jackson.
visible juice and is by far the best quarterback to ever even touch a football or look at a football.
That's right.
Do I have that summarized correctly? Okay. Lauren, who do you got in the Steelers-Ravens game?
I'm not going to argue what you just said because knew he might.
Right.
After all that, no telling. I got the Ravens plus 14. Won't even give
my
you a
goodness.
score. Plus 14.
Okay, well, let me just break this down for you guys.
Man, stop. We know you don't like
Listen,
Lamar.
This game could be big for the Steelers, right? In the first game, it was close. Steelers won the game 18-16. What was different? Henry did not have 100 yards. He only had 65. Lamar had 1 touchdown and 1 interception. Did not look great in that game. Okay, it was an ugly game, 200 yards. The second matchup, however, the Ravens win 34-17. Henry has 162 yards. Lamar has 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Zay Flowers went off, had 100 yards. Will Zay Flowers play this week? I think he will. Is Lamar a different player now than he was earlier in the season? 100%. And he's a different player. There will be no upset this week. The Ravens will blow out the Steelers. And Russell Wilson, it's going to be a question all offseason. Will the Steelers resign him? Because the Steelers are out of sync. So I
think they will.
Ravens will win the game. They will win a playoff game. It'll be this week. Broncos, Bills. Brandon.
Bills, they roll them. Josh Allen party in the end zone.
Okay.
It's time to get it started. I'm predicting right now, Bills Broncos. I'm predicting 34-17.
Oh,
I think they double digit them. Yeah,
okay.
I think they roll it. I mean, I just think that's one of those moments. I mean, granted, those two teams can play in that type of condition. I just think that atmosphere going in with a rookie quarterback.
What's the weather?
Oh,
What's the weather going to be? That's the question.
cold as hell.
Anybody got the weather
Yeah,
report for that day?
I'm with you. The Bills take it, but I do think that Bo Nix and company put up a hell of a fight, but he gets his rookie treatment from a vet QB that pretty much like Pat
Ain't
told
no
him,
wrong, bro.
we're gonna do this a couple times, but not this year, bro. You know, Josh Allen's pretty much gonna tell him real simple, not this year.
29
Okay.
degrees, high winds. Lord have mercy.
Okay. Well, listen, I really put a lot of thought into this
Good
game.
in Buffalo.
I'm a Bills fan. Everybody knows I played for the Hanover Park Bills. It's my first ever team. I'm a Legion. Josh Allen is like one of my top 2-3 quarterbacks that I love to watch every single week.
He's number one ever for him.
This could be a sleeper game for the Broncos, though. Bo Nix is playing really, really well. Sean Payton has been here. He's done that. Patrick Surtain defensively is playing out of his mind. He might win Defensive Player of the Year. He's been so good. But honestly, none of that matters because this is Bills Mafia. 29 degrees, could be snowing. The Bills are going to win, going away with it. Bo Nix, welcome to the NFL. We're glad you made it to the playoffs. You're one and done, buddy.
They're favored right now at 8.5. The total is 46.5. I definitely would take 46.5.
Golly. All right.
The weather's dropping that down, yeah, for sure. I'd take the over on 46.
Yeah, and the Bills don't give a rip about the cold.
Nah, nothing looks it looks the same. When they played the Niners, I was like, okay, this looks totally different for Purdy, and this looks the exact same for Josh Allen.
Yeah.
We cannot play in this weather
at all.
So.
Here's the ugliest game of the weekend. The Packers get to play the Eagles. Oh yay. Joy, hold up the joy. What do you got?
You could almost keep it going. I got Philly. Packers are beat up. They Watson's out. Love is barely hanging on. He's like a pirate. He's got one leg. He's got a hook for. Just let it ride. It was a good year. There's promising. You're very young. You got things to work on. Sorry, the Eagles are rolling in that one without Jalen Hurts. So
without Jalen Hurts.
Okay.
Yeah, they're both questionable. Both quarterbacks are questionable.
Well, I'm wondering why you're saying they're going to roll them without Jalen Hurts.
Saquon Barkley will get 20 carries. He will go for over 100. Obviously, probably 130, 140, catch a few. He will be at full. I looked just to see little side betting here and there. How many carries this man doing? Has it slowed down? No, it's not. If anything, it's ramped up. They're giving this dude the ball. They know what he's worth. This is what they saved him for. They better run him down to
30 carry. He got to get 30 touches no matter what.
Listen,
touches,
I have the same thing.
I think Philly rolls him. I think Philly rolls Green Bay.
Even if Jalen doesn't, I don't feel like Jalen's a game changer, to be honest with you, although they don't really have Kenny Pickett's playing good enough, but Saquon is the difference in this game. I'd give him 30, 40 carries. I don't care. Just give him the ball every time.
He's taking a couple direct snaps if they play. It doesn't matter which quarter.
Play Wildcat the whole game if you need to. And by the way, Watson for Green Bay is out of the game. So even with Jordan Love playing with that hurt elbow, I don't expect anything from the Packers. Commanders at Buccaneers. This to me is the most competitive matchup of the whole thing. What do you got?
This is gonna be the best one.
What do you got, Brandon?
Man, I got the Bucks. Shake and bake, baby. Let's go.
Okay.
Let's roll it. Another hostile environment. Jaden Daniels walks into, the Buccaneers' home. I think it's going to be a party, man. Although I do think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be a field goal. I'm looking at 34-31.
Oh, that's a lot of points. Okay.
I think both teams have showed that they can get scored on. And both offensives can actually really get hot at the right moments.
Okay.
And they've had some great plays, even late game plays. Like both teams can know what it's like to come back. And so I think it's going to be 34-31, man. But I got the Bucks.
Got the Bucks. I like it. Lauren.
I got a little higher, man, 37. So 37-28. And I think the fuse gets put out. I think Baker wants a shootout. The Bucks want that shootout. And I know I'm singing the same song here, but Jaden Daniels going to get his rookie treatment as well. It's going to be a playoff environment. I think
Yeah,
the home field matters.
it's just different.
I think he
Yeah.
does turn the ball over. I think he still, I think he goes for a little while. I think they go back and forth. I think it's all the fireworks and glitz and glamour that we want. But I think the fuse burns out, and Baker's the one that puts it out with probably Mike Evans. Like, it's just that type of offense right now. Them two running backs running the ball, it leaves Mike Evans in single coverage, man. It leaves him in single
Hey,
coverage.
first time they met up, gentlemen, 37-20, Buccaneers.
I'm just about to get into it. They played each other in week 1. Baker went off in this game. He had 289 yards and 4 touchdowns. Jaden had 184 yards, no touchdowns, although he's not the same guy. Right? I think we can all agree on that. But Washington also down the stretch has not looked as good, right? They haven't just been blowing teams out, right? They're barely beating teams. Okay, they beat the Cowboys. So what? We played Trey Lance. The Buccaneers are riding on a high. Mike Evans just got that 1,000 yards. That team is together. They care about each other. Momentum matters. Tampa's going to win. I was going to say roll. That's aggressive. They're not going to roll. I'm thinking 24-20. Tampa gets the win late with a late drive by Baker and the boys. And I'm with you. Mike Evans catches the winning touchdown to put that game away. So
There it is.
And Jade's going to have a tough
Let's go, Baker.
Now we got the Vikings and the Rams. This is going to be interesting. This is going to hurt some people's hearts. Lauren, I'll go to you because Brandon's off camera. Who do you got in this one? Vikings.
Had to let my dog out, man.
So Vikings and Rams, man. I got, as much as it hurts to say, I got the Vikings winning it. And the reason why I say it hurts because I think Darnold doesn't show up fully, but I think there's still enough there to where they can win the game. I think he shows improvement, and I think he gets over that kind of hump. The Rams, they can put up a fight. We know what they're going to do. We know what they're going to bring. They do run the ball well. I feel like the Vikings are just a better version of the Rams. So they have 2 receivers they can use. The quarterback is younger, but one thing, coaching matters. And I know McVay's there, but you don't have a young buck throwing the ball or just a quarterback that doesn't think for himself. You got a vet. Stafford's going to do what Stafford does to win games. He's not going to run your fancy playbook and do all the stuff that Goff was or these younger quarterbacks. Meanwhile, on the opposite, Darnold's really throwing it wherever O'Connell says. So it's going to be one of those. I think he shows up. I don't think it's a splash party. Here's Darnold. He's here. But I think they at least get the win, and then they have to face, the big brother of the group and go on to the Lions. So
Okay. All right. Where are you at, Brandon?
Man, this is one of the Vikings' 3 losses. We go back all the way early in the season.
October 24th.
Minnesota was on a hot streak. Yeah. 30-20. They gave a 30-piece. Stafford went off 4 touchdowns in the same place that the Vikings got to go. So this is the upset. It's here. The Rams are going to win.
Okay.
The Rams are going to win. The Rams are going to win.
I have an upset
I think
alert.
they're going to win 30-27.
Okay. I have an upset alert as well because, as you mentioned, on October 21st, Matthew Stafford torched the Vikings for 279 yards, 4 touchdowns. Sam Darnold also had a day, 240, 2 touchdowns. Rams won 30-20, but Stafford has all of his weapons. Darnold hasn't been in this position before. Stafford has. And I think that's going to be the difference. I think quarterback play in the playoffs makes a difference. I think the slipper falls off Minnesota and Sam Darnold this week. And I think the Rams get the win. I thought I'd be the only one that said that, so I'm a little disappointed. But I think the Rams get the win. So as we look ahead, guys, and I don't know if you guys have looked at this, I have in great detail the road to the Super Bowl, right? So, Lauren, let's go with you. Based on what you've said, what happens in the next round and then into the AFC title and the NFC title, and who's going to get to the big game?
Yeah, so just to run through it quickly. Minnesota, I think they do win. They go to LA. I think they lose to Detroit. Detroit standing there waiting. I have, like I said, the Bucks beating Washington, but they're going to play Philly. I think Philly beats the Bucks as hot as they are. Actually, let me say 2 things here. If Jalen Hurts plays, by then he should be playing. I think that they beat the Bucks. If they don't, Baker could roll over that one. Doesn't matter. Detroit's winning. They're going to the Super Bowl. As far as the NFC goes, it's their storied year. They're fired up. They're going to win. They're rolling. AFC, I'm not going to run through it all. I think, let's put it this way. The road leads through Patrick Mahomes and company. That's just,
Okay.
until someone shows me otherwise, that's great, but it ain't going to be the Chargers and it's not going to be Houston. So the fact that Baltimore and the Bills have to duke it out is tough. And then you have to go and bounce back and play the Chiefs. I don't see neither one of those quarterbacks getting over the hump that is Patrick Mahomes. And I think we get a Detroit and Chiefs Super Bowl. And
Okay.
I'm not going against Patty. So
Okay.
We're so
Three-peat.
it's so similar. It's so similar how you just described what I was thinking. But I personally think the Bucks are going to go to Philly and beat Philly. I think they'll get to a matchup where they have to face the Lions. It's going to come down to that in the NFC title game, and I do think it's Detroit's story here. I do. I feel like, in the AFC, it's going to come down to two quarterbacks. They're going to have to go duel out Pat Mahomes. It's either Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. And in the past, they have done this in Arrowhead. They've done it. They're the only two who have done it besides Joe Burrow. So one of them has to knock Goliath down. I think if the Ravens get through, they're going to steamroll the Lions. It is Lamar Jackson has only lost one NFC game. If the Ravens get to the Super Bowl, so just throw it in the hat.
Okay.
Now, but at the end of the day, I cannot bet against Pat Mahomes. I just can't.
So who's going
He's
to
broken my heart too many times. You know damn well who's going to play. It's the Chiefs. It's the Chiefs and the Detroit Lions.
Okay.
And the Chiefs are going to win again.
Okay.
And it's three-peat. And you're going to see Taylor Swift. And you're going to see all these other celebrities. You're going to see Deadpool and Wolverine and his wife and all that other stuff. They're going to be celebrating. Travis Kelce's going to come out there with 2 championship belts. He's going to have the other universal belt. He's going to, chug. So you already know the Chiefs are going to turn up.
Tyreek Hill is going back.
And he's signing, and he's going back, and he's gonna be at the sideline. Like, yeah, bro, I'm coming back.
Okay. I got a whole different.
That's my
scenario
story.
for y'all.
Hey, I know you got a different story, but I'm not betting against that man.
I like where you're at. I've seen that scenario on every single NFL TV show broadcast. I get it. That's what America wants to see. I've got a different take. The Chargers are going to beat the Texans, and then they're going to go play the Chiefs. The Ravens are going to beat the Steelers and travel to Buffalo after they beat the Broncos. The waiting Chiefs will beat the Chargers in a close game, but it's going to be a close game. And the Bills will beat the Ravens on a last-second drive from Josh Allen as he leaped over defenders for the winning touchdown. The Bills.
You dreamed about this, didn't you?
The Bills will then travel to Kansas City, where once and for all, Josh Allen will end the reign of Patrick Mahomes and go to the Super Bowl and punch their ticket. Bills Mafia headed to New Orleans. All right, that's the AFC. Let me take you to the NFC. This is a little bit of a wild ride. The Rams, after taking out the Vikings, will travel to Detroit. Matthew Stafford will get his revenge, and he will beat the Detroit Lions in the divisional round. Tampa will have to go to Philly, and for the second year in a row, will out the Eagles out of the playoffs because Baker Mayfield is on a mission. Tampa will then host the Rams in the NFC title game, and that game won't be close because the Baker Mayfield show is going to continue into the Super Bowl, where Bills Mafia will face Buccaneers Mania, and the Bills will beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 30-28 in one of the best Super Bowls we have ever witnessed in the history of the NFL.
I'm not even opposed to that Super Bowl, to be honest.
That was kind of a little wrestler in me came out during that.
Well, you got a promo out there.
He watched the Netflix WWE this Monday.
He did. How crazy was that promo? That was dope by Triple H. It felt like a pay-per-view match.
So that's a great story. It definitely is found in the fiction section in the library
Oh,
because
Yeah,
I don't
definitely.
see it
Not your
happening.
National Geographic, not your
But if
Sports
it does,
Illustrated.
but I will throw $2 on it. I'll put it on and $2 on there. If that happens that way, man, that $2 could become something pretty
Listen,
real.
I did my research. I didn't just come up with these things willy nilly. And when I look at what the Rams are doing with Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp and Puka Nakua, and they're running the ball well, although Blake Corum is hurt now. I think he broke his forearm.
He never plays.
He
It's
did,
the other
though.
one,
He's a
Kyron
little bit of a
Williams.
third down back.
Kyron Williams was your guy.
When I look at that, and then I look at how the Lions defense is just beat up. Yes, they had a great performance the other night, but can they sustain that against the quarterback that's not going to be shook in that situation? And if Matthew Stafford goes to Detroit, you got to think he's going to have a chip on his shoulder. He just is. Lauren, if the Crash have to play the prime in a championship game, are you not coming for all the marbles? Come on, man. I know what's going on.
But see, I also understand that Detroit is about to send the house at Stafford. If he's in, you're gonna blitz him.
Yeah.
You're not gonna give this guy time.
That's
you
how
have to.
That's how they
if you give them time.
They got man-to-man corners that will follow. That's one thing. I don't know if you watched it. They were following Justin.
They play a lot of man. They play a lot of man in Tampa too, Luke.
Yeah.
I think I saw a stat that they ran 71% man.
Yeah,
and Darnold had a 16% completion rate.
Aaron Glenn did an amazing job of kind of sprinkling in a little bit of zone when you would least expect it and really getting you off your game. I think Aaron Glenn is, obviously he's one of the top DCs out there. He was a great player, and that's shown up on the coaching side as well. And he's really keeping you on your toes. I think Sam was just overwhelmed, honestly. And
goes.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. So we're at the end of the year, right? We got one more piece here. Obviously, we're going to be here with you guys throughout the playoffs. We're going to have guests throughout that time, but we've got to give some end-of-year awards before the playoffs start. Dun, 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 dun,
Are you shipping these out? Are you shipping these awards out to these guys?
We should ship them out. Now, listen, we all don't agree, I'm sure, on some of these awards, so we're going to just go around the horn again. The on fire for the end of the year. Who was your on fire quarterback of the year? Lauren Morales, we'll go to you first.
Man, we didn't mention him, you mentioned him quite a bit, but man, Josh Allen, what he's been able to do over there with, you lost Diggs, you lost Davis, you were written off, you turned the ball over, all this stuff. He's fixed all of that and shown exactly why, in my opinion, he's in a league of his own. He's a freak of nature. No one plays quarterback like that. And I've said it and I'll say it again. I've never seen another quarterback step up in the pocket and look to stiff arm a defensive tackle.
Yes.
And he does it multiple times. So he's my on fire for sure.
Oh, I love that. Oh, finally, I've got a Josh Allen friend. Finally, it's so good to have that.
This year he is playing good football.
Brandon, who's your? I know who it is, but who's your on fire quarterback of the year?
Well, it's simple. It's the most electrifying quarterback and player in the NFL, and he is one of one. No one can do what this man can do. 40 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. What? Come on now.
Okay.
I understand. I respect what Josh Allen has done. It has absolutely been awesome to see him grow. But what Lamar Jackson is doing, LJ8 the Great, he is the most dominant, the most talented, the most electrifying quarterback in the NFL.
Do you have your Lamar boxing on right now? Do you have them on? I'm just curious.
Not that it has anything to do.
Bro, I wake up
just
to
one
Lamar
of one,
Jackson
man.
every single morning.
Listen,
this is my life.
I've never seen a quarterback do what he does at that high of a level. We got to understand this, guys. We've all played quarterback. 40 touchdowns to 4 turnovers in the NFL.
That's fantastic.
17 games?
But to say no one can do what he can do,
no one has.
I've never seen Lamar.
No one has. Don't worry, I'll wait. He actually did. I showed you a ton of highlights. Actually, he makes defensive players. He makes defensive players look like high school players, Tim. You and I both know that. I can see so many different highlights.
So what I do hate is the fact that these two are now pitted against each other.
I hate that.
Nah, I don't want to pit them. I love them for they do their thing.
There's still two, and at the top of that pyramid is Patrick Mahomes.
AKA
He's won
him.
the most.
AKA him.
Hey,
He's
we
him.
just exclude him and talk about the
Just exclude.
Burrows,
Because
everyone
when the
else.
game is on the line, when the smoke is cleared, and the millions. No, I'm just kidding.
1 million. All right. We're way off
Who do you
track.
want the ball in the hands last seconds of the game? We all know who that is. Don't
We
even
are-
say it.
Woo, we're
What's
falling off the
understood
rails.
doesn't need to be spoken.
End of the year awards. On fire. Listen, I too am going to give Lamar Jackson the on fire of quarterback year. Even though I love me some Josh.
My dog, man.
You can't ignore the amount of touchdowns that he put up in the air, on the ground. What Josh Allen has done is going to get him a different award. But for being on fire each and every week, Lamar Jackson, I think, had 1 week where I put him in the garbage juice. He was really good this year. You can't take it from him. So garbage juice. Brandon, we'll start with you. Who's your garbage juice player of the year?
Oh, man.
This was hard for me. I got two of them.
This is hard for me. I want this dude to be so good because he's so inspirational. He's such a giving guy. He's such a great teammate. But he shits the bed in so many different moments, and he's refused to learn from his mistakes. You would think he's intelligent enough to learn from that, and he hasn't. Jameis Winston, man.
Oh,
Like every time we get into something, man, we get high on him and then we get low on him. He's one of the first quarterbacks in the history of QB Huddle, even though we've had 2 seasons, that have been on fire at the same time as he was in the garbage juice. The same time. So I'm just like, brother,
It's Mr.
I want you to
30.
be so good, dog. Like I really want you to be. You can be a franchise guy. You got all the tools, the leadership, everything. But damn it, man! Like stop throwing picks.
yeah. Okay.
Like just stop doing it. So that's my guy, man. It's frustrated to put him in there, but it is what it is.
All right. Lauren, who's your garbage juice player of the year? Very distinguished award.
I'm about to say I'm giving out such a award that is
Prestigious.
You mentioned him earlier. I hate to say it, a situation could have been bad, whatever. Will Levis, he's on there for me. He had an opportunity. I hate when players miss opportunities. I don't think he gets it again. I was tied between him and I'll mention my other runner-up. I don't know if people are gonna be upset at that one, but Anthony Richardson's the other one for me. He underperformed in my opinion across the board.
Rookie season.
Yeah,
It's
it was
rookie
the mental.
season still.
No, it was the mental side of the game. The garbage juice for me for the mental of him. He needs it. He needs someone to tell him, "I'll be that guy." I said it this year. Grow from it, but mentally, you don't. I'm sorry, you don't.
You don't tap out.
None of us on here have ever tapped out. Okay.
No.
So, you'll be Daniel Jones and go play safety before you tap out. You know what I mean? So,
There you go.
he's on my list.
All right. Well, I've got 2 as well. Funny enough. Bryce Young, and I hate to say it because he just showed up this past week. The last couple of weeks, he's actually shown a lot of improvement. But the first half of the year, he got benched, and he only got his job back due to injuries and stuff. But he was in the garbage juice every single week. And then Will Levis, you mentioned him. The 2 of them are in there holding hands. They're probably buying some property together. They love being in the garbage juice, so that's where they live. Now let's move on to offensive rookie of the year. Now, there are other rookies besides quarterbacks, so if you picked one, that's perfectly fine. There's a tight end in Las Vegas that would be perfectly acceptable, a wide receiver in LA with the Chargers that would be perfectly acceptable. But Brandon, who's your offensive rookie of the year?
Saquon.
He's your rookie
what
of the
he
year.
did. Oh, I'm so sorry. Rookie of the year. My bad. It's Brock Bowers.
Brock Bowers. Okay.
No question. He broke a record that was held for 50 years. Mike Ditka.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. But what he did as a rookie with multiple quarterbacks at the helm, it was phenomenal. I mean, who's ever going to that, club, they know they got a, trustworthy tight end. So he did really well, man. And he lived up to his potential. I think he was a top 10 pick. And so he lived up to it even more. So he's the next guy up.
Okay.
Yep. He's got my offensive rookie. And he won me a fantasy. Appreciate that, bro.
Wow. He went non-quarterback. I am shocked. Lauren?
Oh,
I'm going quarterback, and I'm going to justify it in reverse. So it's not Caleb Williams, and it's not Jaden Daniels. I know they're putting those two together here, here, here. This guy's got better stats than me, or in my opinion, what he's done. Yes, he has Sean Payton. I'm going Bo Nix. He's finished where you wanted to end the season at. He's got nothing but better. I don't care about the interceptions because he's throwing the ball. He's moving it downfield. He's making the right
more
decisions.
volume.
He's in a tougher position. I know Caleb is tough, like physically, but no one is. That's a top 5 coach at like complexity of probably that offense. So
Yeah.
I'm going Bo Nix, and he's finished right where he's at. His trajectory's up. I think he's in my opinion, he's the offensive
Solid.
rookie of the year.
Okay.
Solid.
I thought about Brock Bowers, to be honest with you, and then I wanted to stay with quarterback, and so I thought about Bo Nix and I thought about Jaden Daniels. I couldn't put Caleb in there, even though I wanted to be a prisoner of the moment. He just beat the Packers in Green Bay. I wanted to give him the nod. The thing that kept me from giving Bo Nix the nod was the interceptions, quite frankly. Jaden Daniels, to me, seemed the most poised, especially early on in the season. He's been poised in the pocket, outside of the pocket. He knows when to throw it. He does protect the football. So I'm going to give Offensive Rookie of the Year. My nod is to Jaden Daniels, but I don't think you can go wrong with any of those picks. All going to be great players for a long time. I already know where Brandon's going with this, but why not ask him anyway? Quarterback of the Year, Brandon.
LJ the Great.
Brock Purdy? Oh,
One and only.
Okay.
The one and only Lamar.
Okay.
Lamar Jackson, man. What he's done and his evolution, I love it. And he's only going to get better. And he protects himself. He protects the ball. He's making adjustments at the line of scrimmage. He's doing everything he can to put his team in position to win year in and year out. He's very consistent, man. He's very consistent. So that's him.
Lauren?
These next 3 were tough for me. So yeah, quarterback of the year. All right, it's gonna be Lamar Jackson. Because there's another guy that gets, like you said earlier, kind of another award for me. But it's Lamar Jackson. What he's done as far as play the quarterback position is phenomenal. He's gone against what I usually say about Lamar Jackson. Oh, it's his rushing touchdowns. It's funny because I'm saying about someone else now, but what he's been able to do as a quarterback, right? The double tight ends. You made a Pro Bowl. That's got to be one of the. When's the last time the Ravens had a Pro Bowl receiver? Not a tight end, So plus to manage Derrick Henry and all the carries he gets and still put up the numbers that Lamar did. He played quarterback this year, and I've knocked him for that in the past, and I can't. He played quarterback very well this year. He's the quarterback of the year.
Okay. So my quarterback of the year,
Go ahead, Josh Allen.
This guy improved tremendously from past years. I was never of the idea that he couldn't throw the football. I just didn't think he was as good at throwing the football as others. Not as fluid. He's become more fluid. He's become better in the pocket for sure. I still don't think he does as much at the line of scrimmage as Brandon would like to convince us that he does. I think, but his athleticism, and I think Derrick Henry was the best thing to ever happen to this guy. Lamar Jackson, for me, also quarterback of the year. You can't ignore 40-plus touchdowns and 4 interceptions. You just can't ignore it. And that's how it's tremendous efficiency. And what else do you want from your quarterback? You want efficiency. And then his athleticism gives him a different gear. So Lamar's not my favorite quarterback ever. He's not, just because I prefer, much like what Troy Aikman said last week after a game, I prefer guys that sit in the pocket more, diagnose the defense, and do. But Lamar did a lot of that this year, right? So I got to give it to him. Quarterback of the year, Lamar Jackson. Congratulations, Lamar. It's a clean sweep.
Clean sweep.
Okay. Lauren, offensive player of the year. Who do you have?
Saquon Barkley.
Okay.
Strictly because
I like that.
he would have broken the record, but he realized, you know what, that's separate. That's separate incident. He rushed for 2,000 yards. He's what they needed. He's exactly who we thought he was. The Giants have to regret it. Like, they have to. He put up that much in a year right after out the gate. He's healthy. Like, It's got to be. He's the offensive player of the year. There's a lot of other people that I could have put in there that are within their own, positions, but it doesn't matter. With that guy on the field, he's your best offensive player on any team.
Totally fair. Brandon?
I mean, you went with Saquon, so I'm gonna just go with another person, man. Mr. Triple Crown, Jamar Chase. What he did with a contract year, even negotiating out of it, dope. Put his arm around and said, "Hey, man, I need you on this one." And he balled, bro. He balled.
He did. He did.
Showed up and showed out every game. He's very consistent. He showed he has a different evolution to his game, just being a deep ball and a screen ball guy. I think sky's the limit for this dude if he stays hungry.
Oh, man.
Stay hungry.
You say that, and I instantly think, man, Joe Burrow could have been quarterback of the year. Why didn't I?
He really could have. He really could have.
He had 40-plus touchdowns.
He really could have.
You know what, Joe? This is what I would say.
A lot of them. Yeah, Baker, Allen. There's a lot of guys.
Joe Burrow, I need you to go ahead.
Not a lot.
You're top 5 quarterback, Joe. I need you to restructure. I need you to get you some talent around you so next year you can clean sweep all the awards and be on the way to the playoffs. That's what I need from you, Joe Burrow. My offensive player of the year is also Saquon Barkley. Big fan of his from the Big Ten. Watched him at Penn State. Really enjoyed him. I was shocked that the Giants would let him go, especially to a divisional team like that, and he went crazy. I also respect the fact that he sat out because what a lot of people don't think of when your starting quarterback wants to play or your running back plays, your starting offensive line has to play. Your starting quarterback has to play if he's healthy. Your starting receivers have to play. Saquon agreeing to take the seat allowed everyone else to rest. And so it's tough because he could have got that record. But kudos to him for sitting out. And hopefully for his sake, it matters in the playoffs. I think it will in the first game. But I think we're going to lose in Tampa Bay. Okay, MVP. This is the big one, the big daddy. This is the one that everybody likes to talk about. I really don't care about this award personally. But we're going to go around the horn. Brandon, you start first, buddy. I already know. We might as well drop a jersey. Who's your MVP?
Lamar Jackson. Action Jackson, man.
Okay.
He doubled his MVP stats last year, so it's really, like I said, it's hard to ignore 44, man.
Okay.
That's historic.
Okay. Lauren Morales. I have a feeling you and I are going to be of the same mind here, but who's your MVP?
Man, I got Josh Allen, man. It's Josh Allen. You have to take in what's around him. I saw some quick stats, not going to spend too much time on it. The biggest thing for me is Josh Allen is who you think of when you think of the most valuable player to a team. If Josh Allen is removed, the Bills might win 2 games this year. You know what I mean? The receiving core, Khalil Shakir, is that his name? He's great. But Josh Allen has made you, like, he will sign and take a deal to play with Josh Allen longer. Cook doesn't get a lot of carries, and people think, like, sure, he's explosive. It's Josh Allen. He's 80%, like, with the, I think it was plays that involved him or a touchdown. Sure, he plays quarterback, but Lamar was sub 70. You know what I mean? You have to go with Josh Allen for what he's done with what's around him. Lamar Jackson is again, I hate that they're pitted together, but, man, he has Derrick Henry. Everything's easier when you got a guy rushing for 100-plus yards a game. You got Zay Flowers. The offense is perfectly tuned around Lamar right now. He's supposed to do these things right now. To me, it's win the playoff game, and that would swing it. I know that doesn't really take place into the MVP, but
right.
if Lamar Jackson can go and win multiple playoff games and get over that hump that he's been in, same hump that Josh Allen's in, obviously, with Patrick Mahomes, it's just Josh Allen did everything we asked. He passed more. He wasn't as reckless. He threw less picks. You took away big-time weapons from this guy. His defense is banged up. Like, he's outscoring opponents. He is, in my opinion, the most valuable player in the NFL.
Well, Lauren, I just want you to know that you have just said everything that I say to Brandon every single morning, and he always refutes everything I have to say. So thank you for being another voice of reason on this. Listen. Here's the thing.
Unintentional.
Josh Allen is my MVP as well as great as Lamar Jackson and Baker Mayfield and Joe Burrow have been this year, and Jared Goff for that matter. Josh Allen, when he lost Stefon Diggs, everybody, all the pundits said the Bills won't even make the playoffs, right? They're the 2 seed. Without Stefon Diggs, Josh Allen has had his best season ever. I've always said that Diggs was a distraction. and receivers like that can be a detriment to your quarterback room, I think he was. Josh Allen doesn't have anyone to force the ball to. He doesn't have anyone in his ear. Give me the damn ball. Give me the damn ball. Josh Allen, like you say, everything in that offense runs through him, period. There is nobody else. Yes, there are other players that are talented, but the offense doesn't run through James Cook. It runs through Josh Allen. So to me, when you talk about MVP, first off, if it wasn't a quarterback award, I would give it to Saquon Barkley. But it is a quarterback award. So I'm going to give it to Josh Allen because, again, without him, the Bills are cooked. And he's that team. He is the heartbeat of that team. They all go as Josh Allen goes. Bills
And Lamar, no.
We're not saying Lamar isn't. When I say this about Josh Allen, I'm not
Take Lamar out.
Lamar.
Take him out. Take him out.
Okay. I'll run Derrick Henry.
They have one of the worst defenses in the league, bro.
Hey,
what are we talking about?
If you take Lamar out, it's been shown in past, if Hundley was there, the guy that was just next up, they still won playoff games. They still won playoff.
This is my last
if you say take him out, who is the backup right now? I'm with you. Who is the backup in Baltimore? I don't know if I can tell you.
Johnson.
Exactly. So I'm with you. And I know who the backup is in Buffalo. I'd rather not.
Mitchell Trubisky.
Mitchell ain't no bum.
Mitchell, a.k.a. Pooh Bisky.
I think it's tough that it's together.
I hate that they're brothers.
If the records weren't there, Joe Burrow's my MVP.
True. Also true. I'm with you on that.
It's tough, but I can't.
Why can't we just make them co-MVP?
I think Joe's
like Peyton Manning, Steve McNair.
I heard it's happened before. Yeah.
Listen, I
Steve
think
McNair, Peyton Manning shared it.
I think Joe Burrow's the best quarterback, pure quarterback of all of them. That's my opinion. We'll talk about that more later on because I know Brandon and I debate that every day, and we want to talk about it. I think Joe Burrow's head and shoulders above everybody else at that position, not athletically, but at that position and what you need at that position to win games. Josh Allen, listen, this is the last point I want to make about this. Last year, there were 14 quarterbacks with better numbers than Lamar Jackson, and he still won the MVP because his team was rolling. They were doing great things. Now, and stats didn't matter. Now he has great numbers. His numbers blown everybody outside of Joe and Baker away. Right. And, you know, Josh doesn't have the numbers that he does. But if stats didn't matter last year, then they don't need to matter this year. We need to look at who's done more, who has to shoulder more. And it's not about a stats thing. When you watch the game, who has to put more on their shoulders? And it's Josh Allen, to me.
I can't argue that.
So it's going to be, whoever wins, though, congratulations. We know that the players, by the way, they don't care about the MVP. They care about the Super Bowl. They care about winning playoffs.
We care about what these guys do in the playoffs, and they got another opportunity to take down King Mahomes. Until then, it's King Mahomes' show, and everybody else is just sitting there.
It's true.
Absolutely.
You know,
because we forget the man went 14. We forget the man went 14-1 or 15-1.
We didn't talk about Patrick enough on tonight. So
we really didn't. You know what? I hate to say this, but the Chiefs are now the Patriots because they're not very good this year. There's some chinks in the armor. We don't think we're not going to talk about it. They run under the radar. They win 12, 14 games. And next thing you know, they're in the Super Bowl. And you're like, how did that happen? They weren't that good all year, but they have been that good. It's just been under the radar that good.
Yeah.
You know, Patrick hasn't been blowing us away with stats, but he does make plays when it matters. We know that. But hey, it was time to give some of these other guys their due. Right? Josh Allen has had the talent, but he's never put it all together. Lamar Jackson has never gotten the credit he deserved from being in the pocket, right? So, Goff has been overlooked. Matthew Stafford has been overlooked. So it's good that we're talking about some other guys.
It's so ironic. It's so ironic that Josh Allen had weapons taken away and Lamar Jackson given weapons. Lamar Jackson's given weapons, but he got better too. Some of these quarterbacks need that. You need to unleash Josh Allen, and you can't do that with receivers bugging. So
right.
So one thing we can all admit is that neither quarterback has a true number one wide receiver. Neither.
Zay Flowers is number one. I mean,
no, he's a number two, number three.
It's kind of a gadget.
Okay, what about Mark Andrews?
He doesn't have Jefferson out there. It's Derrick Henry.
It's Derrick Henry.
Mark Andrews
gets like 4 catches a season.
We're not talking about the Hall of Fame tight end, Mark Andrews. We're not going to talk about him.
No. I mean, he's obviously doing a great job. But he had a slow start. Isaiah Likely's coming along, but Lamar has never had a true number one receiver.
You know,
I
we
don't
talk
think he
about
ever
wide
will.
receivers. I want you guys to go back and look because I heard this not too long ago. But do you know that I think I heard that like a number one wide receiver has never won a Super Bowl. Like a number one draft pick wide receiver has never won a Super Bowl. Like it's not
Nope.
about the receiver. Randy Moss never won a Super Bowl, right? Jerry Rice did because he had Joe Montana, right?
I think they're lying on this one. There is a number one receiver that snuck up in there.
Who? I'm just saying, when we look at Super Bowl teams, a lot of times Tom Brady won with a lot of nobody.
Definitely not.
Mike Evans.
You don't need
Mike Evans. Mike Evans was the first round receiver and won a Super Bowl.
Okay, so that's the one. That's the
That's
one.
one.
That's the
probably,
one.
That's probably where he heard the stat.
That's right. Man,
Yeah.
this was before he
but I'm
won.
serious. Like I was
This
like,
is a
what
couple
Mike
years I
drafted
heard
in the
this.
first round?
My point is that you don't, and I think Lamar is proving it. Josh Allen is proving it. You don't need a number one wide receiver. You need a cohesive unit on offense. And the first thing that you need
I agree.
is an offensive line. That's number one. Everything
I
else
think you just
can get.
need a.
You can listen. All these guys, all these receivers in the NFL are fast, right? They can all run routes. They can all catch the ball. Yes, there are route technicians and there are differences in levels, but there's not that much separation. So to say he doesn't have a number one, I don't know. He's got Derrick Henry. He's got a great offensive line. Everything runs through the run game in Baltimore. And then, you know, that's how you get your 40 touchdowns because everyone's creeping up trying to take away the run game.
I think the way the game's changed has changed kind of the number one wide receiver thing. I think you just need a number one option. And if your team has a number one option, I think you're going to be successful. Some of these teams don't have a clear identity. They don't know who their number one option is. And that's why, unless you are a team that's working like the Patriots, but again, you have a great quarterback. So you need a number one option for some type of offense to take place. Who are you following? Like, if Devontae Adams is just out there, then okay, I guess you can just single coverage Devontae Adams down. No, you pick on it, you know? So, yeah.
I mean, Noohi, to your own experience, when we were with the Thunder, you had three number one receivers. We knew Prentice was A1, but you had Galley and we had Trey in the slot. Then you had great running backs behind you. So, you know, they were all number ones, right? They were all good. Don't you think all those guys in the NFL are like that? They're all like that. It's just they're not all Justin Jefferson, but they're all really good guys. They're all really good football players.
Yeah, at the end of the day, though, Noohi knew who he was going to on 3rd and 10. That's for sure.
Prentice.
Exactly.
Love it, man. That's a good.
Although he did have Trey, who was a killer in the slot, and then you had Galley, who at one point all three of them had the same amount of touchdowns. You know what I mean?
So it's crazy. Like all three of them.
One guy had more catches. It was just.
Yeah, it's like more receptions, more catches.
But the defense focused on Prentice. We knew that. We knew the defense was going to follow Prentice everywhere he went.
Everything up.
That's your number one option, you know? So I agree. Got to have a number one option. Zay Flowers is after, obviously, Derrick Henry. But when you have a read option with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, geez, that's 8 in the box.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Like you say, Brandon, defensive nightmare. I get it. But so is Allen. I mean, no defensive coordinator wants to sit there and scheme against Josh Allen. No defensive coordinator can
take that over Lamar all day. I'm like, thank you. He's not going to run away from me on an 80-yard touchdown.
He might.
Yeah, he's going to run to the sideline, stand with one shoe in, and throw it cross body 40 yards.
Right, like, let's just throw it. He's going to make a mistake, guys. Like, that's the thing about it. Like, and that's why I'm not as a defensive coordinator, I wouldn't be so terrified. Right?
Yeah.
I think that's important.
You can hope for the
I know
mistake.
he's going to do something stupid. Like, it's like, hey, he's going to throw this across his body. I'm just telling you. It's going to happen. He's probably going to do it 4 times. He's going to get away with it twice.
I think with Lamar, it's more of can we make him do something stupid?
I think in the old days, even as late as last year, it was, hey, if we can keep Lamar in the pocket and we can zone it behind it and confuse him, we can beat Lamar as long as we don't let him get outside. And that's how the Chiefs beat him last year. I don't think that that's the recipe necessarily to beat Lamar this year because he's proven he can beat you by sitting in there and you can't confuse him. So he's certainly done work in the offseason, right? I don't think that plan that the Chiefs had last year would work this year against this Lamar.
I don't think Lamar's the first option to stop this year. That's why he's put up numbers. I think the goal has been stop Derrick Henry.
Right.
You stop Derrick Henry, then you make Lamar have to play. But the issue is when you make Lamar play, he's shown up this year, like big time. So
Yeah.
pick your poison, but you got to stop the run first. You got to stop the run first. Yeah.
Noohi, we can't hear you anymore, Brandon. Brandon's sound has gone away, unfortunately. I don't know if his headset went dead. I think his headset went dead, but that's okay. Folks, we're done. What a great show, though. We had a lot of fun today. Lauren, thanks so much for coming in. Again, it was great to have you. We're going to have you on as the playoffs progress so that we can keep track of all the scenarios that we've put out there. That's going to do it for this week's QB Huddle Podcast. Be sure to subscribe, like, share, and always comment. Get involved. For my podcast partner, Brandon Noohi over there, who's being quiet, and our special guest, the magician, Lauren Morales, I'm Tim Smith. Enjoy Wild Card Weekend. Until next time, keep those chains moving, folks.